Hey everyone, welcome back to Fantasy Theory. Today we're going to talk about one of the hottest movies out right now, and maybe ever, Dune Part 2, specifically how well it's doing in the box office and what it's projected to do. Let me know before the video starts what you thought of the movie if you've seen it, and of course leave a like and subscribe, but let's get right into the video. Now this comes from Variety as of yesterday, March 4th, 2024. Let's get into the article. Not even the prophetic visions of Timothée Chalamet's Paul Atreides, the messianic protagonist of Dune, could have predicted the commercial appeal of director Denis Villeneuve's ambitious interplanetary of epics. After all, when the long-in-the-works adaptation finally gained momentum in 2017, it was superheroes, not cerebral stories, that ruled the box office. Dune in particular was notoriously difficult to translate to cinema, as Hollywood learned from director David Lynch's disastrous 1984 version. So I actually found out just recently how deep and far back the Dune IP goes, that George Lucas even took some inspiration from Dune for Star Wars, and then later in 84 there was a Dune movie with Nicolas Cage as Paul. It wasn't just sci-fi fans, but general audiences too who helped Dune Part 2 ride those massive sandworms to the top of the box office charts. The big budget sequel has collected a bigger than expected $82.5 million in North America and $182.5 million globally in the first weekend of the release. It landed the biggest domestic opening of the year while helping to revive a barren box office. Initial ticket sales for the follow-up have far exceeded the original 2021's Dune, which opened at $41 million while landing simultaneously on HBO Max. It ended its theatrical run with $433 million worldwide, an impressive result that box office experts nonetheless felt would have been bigger with an exclusive theatrical release. This is crazy. The first Dune in entirety made $433 million, while this one is already close to halfway of that within the first weekend. Not even the first week, the first weekend. And it's only going to go up. It seems like word of mouth is getting around just how good Dune Part 2 is, and that the general audiences are getting into it, which I assumed has spiked interest in Dune Part 1, and I would see more people wanting to see that movie to kind of know what's going on in Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2, co-produced and co-financed by Warner Brothers and Legendary Entertainment, cost $190 million to produce and roughly $100 million more to promote to global audiences. It requires box office staying power, which analysts believe it's primed to have, to justify those hefty price tags. Now, this was Variety. Let's get to the Hollywood Reporter, who came out today on March 5th with this article. Rival studios believe Dune, which cost a net of $190 million to make after production and tax incentives, is almost certain sail past its break-even benchmark of $500 million and ultimately earn $600 million to $700 million. Now, this is projecting to hit around the $600 to $700 million mark, but I see a lot of people projected to go past the $700 million mark and even hit $800 million, which means this movie will make for a huge success and will surely get a third one to complete the trilogy, as well as possible spin-offs that we could see. Dune 2's opening is a major win for Legendary, which took a risk when delaying the sequel's release from last fall until now in order to have the cast, which also includes young stars Zendaya, Elvis's Austin Butler, and Florence Pugh, available to publicize the movie once the strike ended. Legendary was intent on broadening the audience versus just relying on diehard fans of Frank Herbert's classic sci-fi 1965 novel, and it appears to be working. The percentage of opening weekend ticket buyers who were between ages 18 and 25 jumped from 14% for the first film to 18% for the follow-up, and from 20% to 28% for those between ages 26 and 35, according to Intelligence, which visited approximately 380 theaters across 40 circuits. The 18 to 35 demos are considered key because they are the most frequent moviegoers. I like to take me as an example. I always wanted to get into Dune and watch the first one, but never really made it a priority. With word of mouth and reviews all over the internet saying how good Dune Part 2 is, within a few days I've seen the first one and will surely see the second one. I know, what am I doing that I haven't seen the second one yet, but all my theaters were sold out and had terrible seats available, so I opted to just wait, even though I really do want to see it. But it just goes to show the power of how, if a movie is good, people will go and see it if they hear about it. What does this mean going forward? It should mean going forward all these sci-fi and superhero franchises have more competition to deal with and will hopefully make for better stories and movies in the future, and perhaps set a bar that people have to go over to even make movies worth it. Variety also had this to say about the power of IMAX. Who can resist those colossal sandworms and epic fight scenes in IMAX? As audience ventures to Arrakis, the desert planet where the action of Dune takes place, they chase to experience the journey on the biggest and best screens around. It's a plus for studios because admission for those auditoriums costs more than the average ticket price. Premium large formats like IMAX and Dolby contributed a massive 48% of the film's tally. By comparison, Christopher Nolan's juggernaut Oppenheimer saw 47% of initial ticket sales from PLF. So with the great visuals this movie promises, ticket sales are going up because more people want to see the movie on the best screen possible. And as we know, tickets for those theaters, like the article says, are a bit pricier than normal tickets on normal screens. So that's generating more for tickets, not to mention that with how good it is, people who have seen it on a regular screen will want to see it on an even bigger screen. There's no denying how well this movie is doing and how well it will do going forward. These stats were only for the weekend and it made almost half of what Dune 1 made in its entirety. Let me know what you think though. What do you project this movie to do? Is it possible or crazy to say this movie will hit $1 billion in the box office? Thanks so much for watching. Leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have an incredible day.